Everybody. This is a quick lesson recap for our chapter 4, the third lesson that we did, which was going between a fraction and a decimal. And the reason I had mentioned that converting a fraction to a decimal directly, might be useful is because we had done fractions like 1/5 and said, let's take that to a percentage. This fraction, 1/5, you can take it directly to a percentage because percents are out of 100, and fifths, you can turn 1/5 into an equivalent fraction that has 100 as the denominator. And the way you can do that is multiply by 20 and do the same thing on top. 1 times 20 is 20. So 1/5 is equal to 20%. But what happens if you have a fraction like 1/8 and you want to turn that into a percentage? Well, you can't use this method where you make 1/8 into a fraction that's out of 100, because eighths, you can't multiply something by 8 and get it to 100. So instead of trying to go directly to a percentage, like making it a fraction and then a percent, the alternative is to do this, turn the fraction into a decimal, and from there, turn the decimal into a percentage. So here's a little recap of how this works. To convert a fraction, let's say like 1/8, into a decimal, the way that you're going to do that is by simply doing some division. We are going to divide the numerator, the top number, by the denominator. And that's it. There's nothing more to it. Really what you need to do is practice. Because once you've done this multiple times and get used to going from a fraction to a decimal, it's quite simple. So let's look at this very first one, 1/8. This is a fraction, and I want to take it to a decimal. So I'm going to divide the numerator, 1, divided by the denominator, which is 8. Now, think back to how you do long division. 8 can go into 1 0 times. So I'm going to add a decimal point and add a 0. 8 can go into 10 one time. 8 times 1 is 8. Subtract and add another 0. 8 can go into 20 2 times. 8 times 2 is 16. Subtract, add another 0 to bring down, and 8 can go into 40 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40 exactly, so there's nothing left over. So what that means is 1/8 written in decimal form is 0.125. 1/8 is equivalent to 0.125. And that means now I could also write the percent form of this. 1/8 as a percent would be 12.5%. Because if you remember from previous lessons, to go from a decimal to a percent, you just move over your decimal point 2 spaces. But that's how you do it. From a fraction to a decimal, you just do some division. And I'll do another example or two for those who want to see it a little bit more. But if that helped you remember how to do this, I'm glad. Let's go with, we'll do this one, 3/8. So if I want to go to a decimal, it's numerator divided by denominator, 3 divided by 8. And 8 can go into 3 0 times, so I need to add a decimal and a 0. 8 can go into 30 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract, add a 0. 8 can go into 67 times. 8 times 7 is 56. And then lastly, 8 can go into 40 5 times evenly. So that means that 3/8 in decimal form is 0.375. And yeah, just for kicks, let's go all the way to percent from here. That'd be 37.5%. These three things, 3/8, 0.375, and 37.5. These are all equivalent forms of one another. Percent form, decimal form, fraction form. And let's do one more example. This time I'm going to do a mixed number. So I'm going to skip all the way down to this last one here. 2 1/3. Write this as a decimal. So I know that this is going to be, just looking at the numbers, 2 1/3, it's going to be 2 and something, 2 point something. So I don't even need to worry about the whole number, 2. That I know is just going to be a whole number in decimal form. What I need to worry about is the 1/3, the fraction. So 1/3 as a decimal, to get there, is going to be 1 divided by 3. So 3 can go into 1 0 times, add a decimal point and a 0. 3 can go into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. I subtract, add a 0. 3 can go into 10 3 times. I subtract, I bring down another 0. 3 can go into 10 3 times, and you're going to notice I keep getting 3s, and it doesn't look like that pattern is going to stop, and it's not. This fraction, 1/3, is actually equivalent to 0.3, where the 3 repeats eternally. It goes on forever and ever and ever. And so we have in math a symbol that can show decimals that repeat. That would be this line over the digit that repeats. So anytime you see a line over a number, in math, it means that that number repeats forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So 0.33333333333. 1/3 is equal to 0.3 repeating. And so 2 and 1/3 is equivalent to 2.3 with the 3 repeating. And there you have it, folks. That's a quick recap lesson of how to write fractions as decimals by doing some long division. Hopefully that helps, and if not, let me know, and I'll give you some extra things to practice and to get better at this skill. See ya!